So then, I'm not sure what order to do this in here. I've got the hated dramas, the bitter disappointment slash super mixed feelings dramas, the loved dramas, and the brief mention dramas. I suppose I'll mention the hated because it's actually, I can go through it fairly quickly because one of them I don't have to talk about because I already did a video all about it. One drama that I absolutely hated was Blue Whisper Season 1. And I didn't watch Season 2, so I can't, But Blue Whisper, I did an entire video on why I hated that one, so go and watch that one. And then, another one that I absolutely hated was Wolf Prince, or Prince of the Wolves, I think is another name for it, depending where you find it and whatever. That one was incredible bitter disappointment, but it's not a super mixed feeling. I ended up absolutely hating that one, and basically the reasons why I ended up hating it were, from what I remember, basically all the same reasons as why I ended up hating Blue Whisper. I even wrote on Blue Whisper in my book. I even wrote Wolf Prince Part 2. I absolutely hated the female lead from Wolf Prince by the end of that drama. And yeah, it's like, there was more than once where she did something like, it was despicable what she ended up doing, and yet she's forgiven and reconciled and everything is good, even though she never repents for anything that she did throughout that entire drama. And like, that's what I say, the problem with, there's a difference between like, you forgive people and you reconcile with people, and there's steps to these things. There's forgiveness, there's repentance, and then there's reconciliation. You can forgive someone before they repent, but you can't reconcile with them before they repent. And in Wolf Prince, it's a really good example of why you can't reconcile before you repent, because they reconcile. She never repented. She repeated everything the second time, and it was even worse. So, like, I'm supposed to be happy that they end up together in the end when, like, there is no repentance. So, like, I already saw her repeat this once. When you, like, reconcile with people before they've properly repented and changed their ways, that's what repentance is. It's, like, admitting what you've done. You know that it's wrong. You admit that it's wrong, and then you do everything within your power to change and never do that again. She is... okay, don't get me started anymore on that. I absolutely hated it, and like I say, if you go watch the Blue Whisper video, it's very similar with Wolf Prince. I uploaded a video called Forgiveness, and I was using Wolf Prince as an example. That video was a little longer than I meant it to be, and I'm not sure if I keep thinking I should, like, shorten that video and make it better on point. I think it was a little bit woo-doo. But anyway. Another one that I hated was Sound of Magic. It's a Korean drama. And again, it's mainly because of the girl in that one. Like, for one thing, I hate it when dramas are, like, back and forth on, yes, magic is real. No, it's all in their head. It's just fake. But actually, real magic is real possible, and he really is doing magical. But actually, no, it's not. It's just all in his head, and it's like, he just thinks it's real, and everybody just thinks it's real, but it's not. And they literally go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and is it just all fake, like the regular old magic tricks you see on the screen? On the stage, it's not real. Or is magic actually real? And I don't like it when they won't give you a straight answer which one it is. For some reason, I really hate it when they won't give you a proper answer of which one it actually is. They're making it sound like both are real at the same time, and I don't like that. That one was a major, major disappointment. In a way, it should probably be in the bitter disappointments rather than in hated. But at the same time, and I hate musicals too, and they kept breaking out in song, and I hate musicals. But also, like, I really, really, really couldn't stand that main girl. It's one of those things where the weight of the world is on her shoulders, and she is so focused on herself and her own problems. Yes, she had, like, a lot of issues going on in her life, and I'm not saying that it wasn't hard. But when people take that to the degree where literally only their sorrows count and nobody else matters, because literally nobody else, it's not possible for anybody else to have as many troubles or as much problem as I have. I am the biggest victim in the world and nobody else counts. That is her attitude throughout the entire thing, even by the end of the drama, technically. Like, it makes it look like she's changed and she's finally realized that it's not all about her, and not really, because, like, it's been a while and I can't remember, and I blocked it from my brain because I hated it so much, but not really. She is still a self-centered, fixated on victimhood kind of character, even in the end, and I'm like, just, no! And then another one that I listed under hated, but maybe it should be, Painted Skin 2. Every time I talk about the ones that I hated, I get so passionate. Painted Skin 2, Panglang and Sae Chu. Spoilers. I'm so happy they ended up together. I'm like through the roof happy. Because like Mao, Mao who loves to play the tragic characters, and like so many of his characters die. I was so terrified throughout that entire thing that he would die or she would die or both would die or something because of the way it was all set up and all the rest of this stuff. I was like so afraid that it was going to be something super angerifying and tragic and all the rest of this stuff, and I'd hate it. And they ended up together and I was so happy. I was so happy. But apart from them, I was not watching that drama. I was skipping literally everything except them, and a little bit about his name ran away from me. The second prince guy. Talk about done dirty characters. But yeah, everything else about that one I either extremely disliked or downright absolutely hated and abhorred. That main girl, like the princess, oh my gosh, please don't get me started on her. And then like even the main guy, like the further it went with, oh my gosh, don't get me started on him either. Like I'm gonna throw up. I was so angry and so frustrated and so like disgusted by those characters. Just I watched everything up to a certain point and then I couldn't do it anymore. I just could not anymore. And there's like this whole, I could show you the picture of it's a spoiler, but whatever. That's the ridiculous ties they've all got. Like you think love triangles are bad. This is an octagon, my gosh. Those are the hated dramas. Then the bitter disappointment / super mixed feelings. Some of these I've already mentioned because I love some of the characters from them. Kamen Rider Saber. It's a Japanese drama, and I know I am disappointed in that one. See, there was so much potential in that one. So much potential. Apart from the spiritual beliefs that are in that one that are just nope, 100% don't agree with them. Put that aside. The story and the characters of Kamen Rider Saber, it had so much potential. And I know exactly why it fell flat, because they started filming it at the same time as the whole thing that nobody likes to talk about that started in 2020. That one had to be filmed differently. You can tell. I think I looked it up and saw, but I don't know. You can tell from the drama itself, the way the drama ended up being. This was supposed to be what it was like, but because of 2020 happening, it ended up being like this. Especially like partway through the drama, there was like this switch over, and it fell so flat, and it was so intensely disappointing. They had so many characters. For one thing, I think they had too many characters, but in the end, 90% of the characters ended up being super useless and stupid. And in the end, you can tell it's because they had so many actors, and 2022 happened, and they had to try to be safe while filming the drama and everything, and all of a sudden they couldn't film it the way they meant to or intended to or whatever. And technically, really, what they should have done was put that whole story aside and done something else that was easier to handle and easier to do correctly during 2022 and come back to that one later. But I guess they didn't have anything else and they couldn't, so they kept doing this one. And unfortunately, what ended up happening was that it absolutely flopped like crazy, and it was so disappointing and bitter disappointment over that one. Like, I ended up not liking it at all. I have, like, of all the Kamen Riders, that's probably the worst one I've seen. There's a few of Kamen Riders that I haven't seen. I've seen a lot of them since 2000. From 2000 on, I've seen just about all of them. There's a couple that I'm avoiding because I can tell I'm not going to like them for numerous reasons. But anyway, that's why. That one ended up being a very big disappointment. Brief mention My Strange Hero because I mentioned characters from that one. Yeah, that was a bitter disappointment as well. It ended up being, it was going one way, but seung-ho is one of my favorite actors ever. He is awesome. He's amazing. He's a really good actor. But at the same time, like, technically I shouldn't have watched. The only reason I watched My Strange Hero is because he plays the main character. But I should have seen that. I mean, I basically did see it coming. The type of drama that is, I just can't stand it. And then his character turned into a preachy little... So, brief mention there. Tungsten Mystic 2. Extreme disappointment. I was so excited that was coming because of the way that Tungsten Mystic 1 ended. I really wanted a second season of that one, but they ended up taking a different actor to play one of the main characters, And I think there was some whole, like, the actor that originally played that character wanted to come back for season 2, but he asked them to, like, hold off because he was in the middle of something else, and they didn't want to hold off or something like that, I think. I can't remember if that's actually just a rumor, if that's really what happened. But, so he couldn't come back and play the second, so they pulled somebody else instead. And apparently a ton of people think that Tungsten Mystic 2 was better done than Tungsten Mystic 1. And I'm telling you, all you people are insane if you think that. Literally insane if you think that. Team Mystic 2 was a total flop and a horrible, horrible, bitter disappointment for multiple reasons. One, got nothing against that actor. It turns out from Under the Skin, he plays the main character in that one as well. And I liked his character in there. I've got nothing against his acting. But he did not play that character the same. That character changed because of him. Also because of script writing, because the other two main characters as well, the guy that plays Rishan in Grave Robber Chronicles also played in Team Mystic, and his character was different as well in the second season. I'm like, and the girl that, why did I forget her name all of a sudden? Gu Ying in Team Mystic 2 was completely different. Like literally all three of them, even though the two of them were played by the same actress and the same actor, their characters were not the same anymore. I don't know what happened with them. She was a super strong female character, super strong individual, really, really unique in who she was and what she was like and everything. And in the second season, she completely flopped. There was a couple of scenes here and there where you could see sparks of the original, but like the whole mix of this trio, they were nothing alike anymore. It was terrible. And then on top of that, like each individual was completely different. The trio was not working anymore. And then on top of that, the whole story, like people say that the bad guys in the second one were better than the bad guys in the first one, more understandable or something. I'm like, no, they weren't. Like, I didn't watch most of the second season. I couldn't stand it. I think I watched like 6 episodes and then I skipped and watched what the ending was like so I could find out who the bad guys were and whatever and like how it actually ended. And I'm like, this is like straight up absolutely 100% pathetic. No, those second bad guys were not better than the first. But the first bad guy, they even did dirty with the bad guy from the first season in the second season. He turned into a pathetic little lump of what? All of them turned into pathetic little lumps of what? The script writers did their characters so dirty. You destroyed like all of your characters. You pretty much flat up destroyed all of your characters. I don't know what is wrong with you people. The bad guy in the first season, he walks on screen and you're like, whoa. He was so creepy, and like he's a bad guy that lives up to what he says. He never like claims things and then can't stand up to it, and like he was a scary bad guy. All kinds of stuff. That was an amazingly well done bad guy. And then like the bad guys from the second one, I'm like, it spends way too long trying to introduce them and like way too long making you wonder who on earth the bad guy even is when you're doing a second season. So I have to be introduced to new bad guys. You're not supposed to spend like over half the season not telling me who the bad guys are. When you make the whole thing mysterious and I'm sitting here, who is the bad guy for most of the drama? No. Maybe in the first season, yeah. But in a second season, no. Like, there was way too much that was way too wrong with that one. It was a total flop to the nth degree, and anybody that thinks that Team Mystic 2 was better than Team Mystic 1 is absolutely insane. And it's partially because it's the second season. If you watched only that season, my sister was saying there was a whole bunch of scenes that they were filming, and she's like, what are they doing with the camera? They were making her feel sick because they're making everything blurry and everything like, because the people were on drugs, and they're like making you feel like you're on drugs as well, and you're like, stop it, I'm getting dizzy and I'm feeling sick. So like there were so many things about the way they filmed it too that were absolutely no. So, but if you watched it by itself, or if you watched it as the first season, perhaps. But when you've already seen the first season and you know for a fact that all these characters already went through this, and then this is what they're like in the second season, like, oh my gosh, no. And then, like, a bitter disappointment mixed feeling was A Girl Like Me. There was actually so much good about that one. Like, she was mostly a strong female character that I liked. But at the same time, they ended up with some agendas in there where instead of making her a strong female character and, like, women are important and good and strong too, which I'm fine with saying that, but at the same time, the further it went in some of these places, like, they're insulting the men and trampling all over the men again. I'm like, stop it. Do not trample on the men in order to tell me that the girls are good. You do not have to do that. You should not do that. The more you trample on the men in order to tell me that the girl is good, the more I'm going to say, no, the girl is not. That is not a strong female character, if all she's doing is trampling all over the men. There was several episodes there when she became the general of the army. I'm like, are you kidding me? I completely skipped them because I could not stand it. No. Her and her family were absolutely straight up adorable. I loved that dynamic because that often you don't see in dramas anymore. A good, strong, wholesome, united, loving, caring family like that. Like, I loved her and her family, the dynamics between them. That was epic. And for a lot of the drama, she was a pretty strong female girl because she wasn't trampling all over the men in order. She really was a good, strong female. And then what they ended up doing with Jin, I was so mad at them for what they ended up doing with him. And I did a video about that as well, for why. Another one that I was very, very disappointed in was My Strange Friend. That was here's your main character. Haha, just kidding. I'm like, what? What? Oh my gosh, that drama. It was like, okay, here's what but not really. And then they're like, it turned into a whole different story. And then the ending was like, and I'll stop there. Then there was Moonshine and Royal Secret Agent. Both of those for basically the same reason. Because I ended up, in Moonshine, I was a little bit less angry at the female character. It was disappointed in many things about that, mainly because of the main characters. Royal Secret Agent, I straight up hated the female. I think her name is Dan, something. I can't remember how it's said. D-A-I-N, I think is how it's spelled. Absolutely straight up, absolutely hated that girl. The further it went, the more like incredibly hypocritically self-centered. Oh my gosh, you claim you love him, and yet the disrespect constantly throughout the entire thing, never once. She's not only not listening to him, she's literally doing the exact opposite of what he tells her to do all the time. And every single time they end up in like life-threatening situations, her and people around her, because she won't stop completely flat up not listening to him, like ever. And I'm supposed to be happy when they end up together in the end. I'm disgusted that they end up together in the end. That is not a cute couple. Not cute in the slightest. Oh, yeah. And then, like, most of that drama, it's supposed to be all these strong characters that are all so cool and so smart. And no, they aren't. Most of that drama, I made myself a little chart, and I don't know how they survived each situation that happened. 40% of it was skill, 50% of it was dumb luck / coincident, 5% of it was other, and 5% of it was choi. The skills, i.e., Igyum, Choi, and Ibom, mainly, were like 98% of the skill. Just those three, that's it. The dumb luck / coincidence was everybody, including those three, as well everybody else. Choi just, oh my gosh, that poor guy. And other was everyone. So, like, that is how they survived everything. It was literally 50% dumb luck / absolute coincidence. And then there was like 5% and 5% was other and Choi. So only 40% at best was anything to do with skill. And when it comes to the skill, it was like those three characters. Not Dane or whatever her name was. She supposedly is so like, I'm like, I absolutely hate this girl. Absolutely straight up hate. And you want to know why I usually end up hating girls? She's a good example of why. Because so many of the girls end up like that. And that is what you're supposed to be. That is like insulting on top of I hate this, absolutely hate this. And so many of the girls and so many of the dramas, that's what they're like. And you expect me to like them? What? And then the only other bitter disappointment was Crossfire. My sister got kind of mad at me because she's like, she loved that one. And I'm like, I don't know. When you go to the past and the characters that were happening back there is so much strength in that story and so much strength in the characters. And it's like, that was a well-plotted, well-done, amazing story. Then you go to the future and it's an absolute horribly messed up mess. And most of the characters are rather pathetic because they're all like immature brats. And they think that they're having such a hard life and dealing with such hard things. And most of it is idiotic things that they brought on themselves. And then, like, literally, the story itself is such a mess. They bring in stuff so late. They bring in so many things completely out of left field. Like, out of the blue left field. Like, where the fudge did this come from? Never mind what's happening right now. Where did this even come from? That person has a girlfriend? That person has a boyfriend? Huh? I spent so much time going, huh? With question marks appearing all over the place. I was so lost for so much of the present because things just kept coming out of left field and it was such a horrible mess. And then don't get me started on that one female who should not have been in the story. She is 90% why the future was such a mess, because like she was literally, there's not very many dramas where I see a character who was literally 100% useless. One in Another Him, there was a character that was completely useless. And then in Crossfire, this character was completely useless. Literally everything that she did in that drama was completely like, I mean, her whole story and everything had nothing to do with anything else in the drama. Therefore, it was a complete distraction. Should not have been a part of it. It was just messing with everything, and it took a whole ton of screen time away that should have been focused on the main team. So much time that I could have been getting to know them and their story and all the rest of that stuff, could have been strengthening and caring about them, and it was taken away to her that had nothing to do with anything. And then once she did start getting involved in whatever else, everything that she did in that drama could have been and should have been done by somebody else that could have and would have done it better, and it would have made way more sense if they had done it, not her. When she becomes a manager of the team, that is insanely stupid. Like, that makes 0 sense. Less than 0 sense. It makes negative number sense. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever that she became manager of that team. It was pathetically stupid. Like, absolutely just... Thanks to that character, nothing against the actress. I'm not saying anything against her as an actress. I've never seen her in anything else. I'm not saying that she played the character bad or anything. I'm saying that character did not belong in that story. And because she was in that story, she messed up so many other things that I ended up basically hating the future story. I was like, can we just skip this entire thing? I don't care about these people. Most of the team. I'm like, I don't care about these people. They're all pathetic and I don't even know them. I don't know what's going on. It's just a mess. Can I please get back to the characters back here, who's a good, strong story? Not to mention nostalgic, because I'm like, talk about the difference between, like, that's what I grew up in. That's what's familiar to me. That's what's nostalgic, and I love that, and I know that. And this, what is this futuristic thing that almost went too far into the future? I'm like, that's so much white and so much flashy lights and so much I don't know. And then, yeah, when... certain characters come into the present, and I'm like, there were certain things that they did in the present, like getting into major spoilers, but the one character and certain things, because of what he had gone through, what he then ends up, like, there were certain things they rushed in the present with this character. A couple of things they did pretty good, and oh, there was one amazing scene, but then there was a few things that they rushed because they needed this character to do this and this and this, and he had to be able to do this and this and this, so they seriously rushed a couple of things in order to make him be able to do that, and I'm like, so while they're in the past, they're amazing, and then you bring them into the future and everything is a mess. Literally everything, even the characters from the past, when they're in the... all of it's a mess in the present. Even Adeline is a mess in the present. Like, literally everything is a mess in the present. I'm like, what? It's like 2 different teams of people wrote them. The people that wrote the stuff in the past were amazing scriptwriters. The people that wrote in the present, I'm like, what happened? Did you guys... yeah. Guess you got up on the wrong side of the bed and didn't have enough coffee. Like, what the crap? That was really disappointing that happened. So, I don't know whether... maybe I'll do the brief mentions before I do what I loved first. Okay, yeah, I'll do the brief mention before I do the love, because actually, most of the brief mentions, I don't really need to talk about them, because Tyneston Mystic 1, I kind of already talked about. Detective, that was filmed in 2020. I did a whole series breaking down every single episode on that one, so you can go watch that, or skip through it, or something if you want to. Autumn Cicada and Blue Flame Assault. I really liked both of those for whatever reasons, but I already did videos on those, so go watch them. So the only other 3 that I'd brief mention is One in Another Him, which I kind of already mentioned once because of my favorite character from that one of my favorite male leads, that all of a sudden his name ran away from me again, pung something. One in Another Him was very interestingly done. Usually I hate dramas like that, not because they're bad, but because they're completely character-driven dramas. So, like, it was, to me, they feel like they drag and they're boring and they're like, come on, this day-to-day life. And there were so many things about it that I'm like, okay, this is supposed to be a comedy, but I don't find that funny. And there was like the one couple in there that was like on again, off again, on again, off again, on again, off again. I'm like, stop it! And so much of it did make sense because of what they were dealing with and all that stuff, but so much of it, I'm like, there was a few times where I'm like, okay, you stupid little hormonal idiots, quit it! But like the one thing in that one that made me really, 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 really mad was the disgusting man. He's one of the adults that's supposed to be like mature, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you disgusting person that should literally be behind bars. He falls in love with this girl that's so much younger than him. I think they were saying that when they really met, she was underage and he's a fully grown adult. I'm like, this is disgusting. And he's supposed to be I'm supposed to feel so sorry for him because he doesn't know what to do, that he's in love with her, but he's so torn because they can't be together. So he self-centered, like, jackass that he goes and just gets rid of it all and, like, tears her to pieces. She's disturbed in a few places, but the whole thing was he should literally be in jail. And then, like, he's with another girl and doing it all over again. The girl he's with now is, like, way significantly younger than him. I'm like, you are a messed up person. You need to go to jail for a while. Like, what? And yet, like, her brother is, like, still seems to be justifying him and saying he's, like, a good person and he's my best friend. So, like, even though I don't really agree with this, really, it's more because I care so much about him and, you know, I want everybody to be happy. And I'm like, he's messed up, dude. Put him in jail. Like, ugh. And then, like, even when that part of him realized that he was using someone else's body and the way that he was doing and, like, ugh. That's the one thing I really hated about that one. And then, like, some of the characters were, like, really getting into them, like, seriously, knock it off. But what I actually liked about that one was the fact that there was several conversations that they had where I'm like, this is actually a super good conversation. Like, it was really strong with a lot of really good points. And there was one scene, I'll just put the picture up here, that whole scene between those two when they were talking, what they were talking about and how they were talking about it. I'm like, that is one of the most amazing scenes I've ever seen in any TV show ever, anywhere, period. Like I say with that guy, how mature he is. Maturity level he reaches in that show. And then I'll briefly mention The Lion's Secret. That one can sort of be in the bitter disappointment section because it was really cool and really interesting and I absolutely loved the guys for most of the drama. And then there was this weird reset when they went to another country. And everything they did with that guy that was literally stalking her and all of the stuff he was doing, and then they just vanish him off screen in the middle of everything while everybody is still life danger, whatever, etc. I'm like, what? What? He literally stalked her over there and was trying to take her home and all the rest of this kind of stuff, and then he just, like, in the middle of still everything, they're like, oh, time for me to go, goodbye. And I'm like, what? And you supposedly care about her and love her so much, and yet you're leaving in the... And then they went back to the regular thing, and then they had it even more of a weird reset at the end that I'm like... So, like, I really liked that drama up to a certain point, and shock, I actually really liked both couples, and, like, the one girl, the secondary girl, I did not like her at first, because I'm like, this is the typical, you're just trying to be a man, and I don't like it, women act like women, okay? Stop trying to be men, you're a woman, there's a difference, quit it. Be a woman. It's proud and amazing when women are actually women, it's amazing, and yet women aren't women anymore, so many women are just... But they did explain why she's like that, and, like, the further it went, the more I liked her. And her and that guy are actually adorable. And I really liked how she ended up being one of them, because he was so open and honest with her from the start. The main guy, I think he went on for way too long, keeping everything a secret from the girl. And his way of protecting people is, like she said, you guys are really good on the war front, but you're really bad at protecting women. I'm like, yeah, they are. She hit the nail on the head there. Just plain leave her out of everything. Just, like, protect her by completely pushing her to the side and putting her in a little bubble of ignorance and, like, okay, now you're disrespecting. Like, come on, guys. But the other girl, I really like how she ended up one of them. That was actually fun. So, like, But yeah, once it went to the other country section, I'm like, this is kind of weird reset, but I was kind of getting used to it and it kind of worked. But it was also kind of, they could have done it better. By the time they finally got to that, they could have done it better. And then with the whole last few episodes, I'm sorry, but the story really fell apart. Like all of a sudden, if you were going to bring that into it, you should have brought it into it a whole lot sooner than you did. And just like, this is like, you finally got to the peak and then you realized, oh crap, we're at this part and we only have 5 episodes left. So, and it's like, the story really fell apart there. And that's pretty disappointing because it was pretty cool up until that point. And the whole way that, like, they kept it pretty consistent with his PTSD and what triggered it and all that stuff. I'm not entirely sure if PTSD works to that degree where it's literally that only one thing that triggers him. Not entirely positive what how realistic that is. But, like, it kept it pretty consistent every time. And then that whole scene where she was talking about, like, I think they were fairly accurate there when she was talking about how they would how you can cure PTSD and all this stuff, because as far as I know, PTSD can be cured. It's not one of those ones that you are going to end up living with for the rest of your life with medication. You can, through enough therapy and etc., you can actually get rid of it, as far as I know. But she was saying that even if they couldn't find a way to get rid of it, she would just like, it was so cute when she said that. She's like, if I can't get rid of it, then I'll just keep him away from all the cold. And I'm like, oh, and his reaction, like the three of them listening and all this, I loved that scene. So yeah, I loved that one up to a certain point, and then other stuff about it, I'm like, it left me with a bitter feeling. It really did. Every time I think of that drama now, I'm bitter disappointment because so much of it was so good, and then I don't know what happened with the ending. I'm like, bitter disappointment. And then the only other one to brief mention is The Marvelous Women. I put it on hold on purpose because Mao Zedong is listed as a main character in that drama. Spoilers, he is not in any way, shape, or form a main character. This is not what I was told this drama was about. So I had to put that one on hold for a while. So, with this intensely long video and my time is running out to be filming, let's get to the really good stuff. The dramas and movies that I actually really loved from 2022 that I watched. And every single one of these, like I say, there is definitely things I actually did not like about them. Some of them more so than others. But let's just go through this. The dramas that I really loved. First one is My Roommate is a Detective. Yes, there was things I didn't like about this one. Yes, there's things that definitely could have been done better. One thing that let's just not go there. But My Roommate is a Detective, it actually surprised me, like, the main couple in that one, the amount of growth, like I say, as individuals, because shockingly, both of them started out as immature brats. This is one drama where I can say, like, the guy was as bad as the girl at the beginning. And actually, I did really like her, too, because, like, there was many things where I was like, girl, come on. But at the same time, him all the way through, the same kind of thing. I'm like, so both of them started out basically on the same foot. And they both grew so much during that drama. And then it is, like, seriously adorable. Those two, by the end of it, are, like, really cute. The amount of growth they have as individuals and as a couple is really cute. I'm not sure if I could call them a favorite couple because all of a sudden, even though I watched this thing twice, like in February and March of last year or something like that, it was like within a month of each other that I watched them, or a couple of months or something. But anyway, I don't remember quite enough, despite saying that. I don't know if I could call them a favorite couple or not, but I really appreciated the growth they had. And the cases they had were a little bit convoluted, but they were interesting and fun to watch. And the other main, the police guy, I really wanted more of him, for crying out loud. They set up his character so interestingly, where he used to be from, like, the mafia, like the gangs and all that stuff, and then he turned into a policeman, and it was fascinating, and I wanted so much to go so much deeper into his background, and they did not give me enough of him. I was super disappointed in that. I so wanted more of his background. So wanted more. His character kind of got pushed completely to the side, which was really irritating. It was really irritating that he got, like, basically completely pushed to the side because it started focusing so much on the romance, and I'm like, it's so annoying when the romance completely takes over and absolutely everybody else is just shoved to the side. And I cannot with his family. Just don't get me started on that. I listed this as one of the ones that I loved. But as you can see, it's one of the ones that I loved, but I actually had a lot of mixed feelings on too. So, Daybreaker. I loved Daybreaker. I think I've mentioned that one before. But Daybreaker, his character is amazing in that one. Like, over the top, like, wow, dude. Like, wow. And the whole... kind of, at the ending, I have to say, a spoiler, like, I did not expect that many characters to die, and the way that she died, I'm like, come on. That was just really stupid. That was a really stupid move on her part. She should have been smarter than like that. That was really dumb. Even if you were going to kill her, you could have at least killed her in a smart way. But no, you had to make her do something really stupid, and that's what got her killed, was a stupid move. But given the fact that that one is what it was dedicated to and who it was dedicated to and all the rest of this stuff, I kind of sort of forgave them for the kind of annoying ending. Because it kind of made sense they did that. One and Only is another one that I absolutely loved, even though it's literally a tragedy, and I did a video on that one and why. Another one that I really loved was the Korean drama Murim School. I don't even know for sure exactly why I loved that one so much. There was plenty that I didn't like. I mean, the one male student, the secondary male lead, was like, oh my gosh! But he's like literally like sort of the antagonist of the whole thing, so you kind of expect that from him. Talk about like wrapped up in your own self-centered. Ugh. But anyway, there was a few unique things about that one. And like talk about ones where, okay, another spoiler, where the guy woke up from a coma that he had been in a long time, and for once it made sense in what way and how long it took for him to recover. It was still a little bit fast, but that's one of the better ones I've done. So many dramas just like, whoosh, all of a sudden they're able to walk again and they're able to talk again, and you're like, weren't you in a coma for like 3 years? It is not possible for you to recover that fast. Come on. But at least in that one, they took the time and showed how difficult it was, and he had like basically a special power that I think sped up the process too. So they like had this premise before that made it possible for him to recover so fast. Because like I say, Crossfire, he recovered way, way too fast. I'm currently watching The Caught in the Heartbeat. She recovered way, way too fast. And there's other ones, usually at least one aspect of it, they recover way too fast. Way too fast if they were in a coma for that long. And in Murim School, it made a lot more sense. The recovery made a lot more sense, how long it took and what kinds of things he had to do in order to recover. So, but there was also like, yeah, there was many unique things about that one, and most of the characters I ended up liking them, and there was things about the female leads that were kind of annoying, but yeah, there was the whole mystery of like who the two kids were, and they unraveled that mystery of who they were and how they survived. They actually unraveled that really well. Some dramas, they ended up setting things up, and there's like a really good, there's so much potential for, but by the time they actually get to it, they kind of muddle it, and it's not very well done, and it's kind of disappointing. But in this one, they actually did it really well. So yeah, I actually really, really enjoyed Murim School, and I really want to watch it again. Probably soon. Maybe. I keep saying I really want to rewatch it, and I haven't got back to it yet. But I do want to rewatch that one. It was really well done. I was actually shocked by how much I liked it, considering all the other Korean ones that I've been watching lately have been letdowns. Excuse me. The only other drama that I really loved from 2022 was Under the Skin. And I literally just watched that one. That's the last one that I watched in 2022. I finished it on December 31st. And literally last night I decided to watch it again already. So I've already rewatched the first 3 episodes. There were a couple of things. One thing that was like, because Duchang was that much against him, and he kind of turned around that quickly and being in favor of him. Like, that was a little quick. But at the same time, they did say that the whole reason he partnered up with him is because you keep your friends behind you and your enemies in front of you, so you can keep a better eye on them, etc. So it's not like he'd actually accepted him yet or liked him yet. He was just keeping him where he could see him and all that stuff. So I'm like, okay. It was, but okay. The thing that I really didn't like about that one was the ending, because not only did they make the mistake, and yes, I call it a mistake, when they so much disconnect me from the main character and all of a sudden leave it so blurry and so what the crap is going on all of a sudden, can I trust you or not, what happened, they make it, when you seriously disconnect from the main character all of a sudden, when you've been so close and intimate and know everything with the characters, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoosh, and you're like, wait, and then on top of that, they brought in a brand new character that I've never met before and have him making everything weird and awkward. And I'm like, the way to fix all of it, would have been to introduce that guy to me, Captain Lou or whatever his name was, way back here. You only needed to introduce him to me once. Once would have been enough if he had been in one episode before that where you'd met him, even if it was just Shen Yi that met him. There was an episode where Shen Yi did a case all by himself. Captain Lou should have been in that episode. He should have met him there. And then when he came in at the end, it would have been fine. Everything would have been okay. But because you introduced him as a brand new character in the middle of this situation that was already making me extremely uncomfortable, then you bring this random dude in there and I'm like, no? So that got really no. And then, like, yeah, when you have, like, a main bad guy in it, like, by the time that it gets wrapped up with that main guy, they kind of wrapped that part of it up a little bit unfairly, actually. So that's kind of a third thing. They kind of wrapped that up a little unfairly. I'm like, with the whole setup and how long it took to get there, that part of it was the fact that there's another bad guy as well, like somebody above, that actually made sense. Sometimes that comes out of left field and that destroys the story a little bit, but this time around it did make sense, and it was even funny the way, who it was and how they brought them in. Sometimes it irks me, and this one they actually did a good job of it. But at the same time, the one they thought, the one that they were really after through the whole thing, that got wrapped up a little weirdly and a little unfairly. Partially because they suddenly did the disconnect with the main character. So the whole thing was just nowhere near as bad as in The Lion's Secret. But it was kind of... But I really did love that story because it's a really unique story, because, like, I love ones like Criminologist, Himura, and, like, Criminal Minds and all that stuff where they're, like, using the people that are, like The Mentalist. That's one English show that I still love because they're, like, what's the word? I can't remember. Profilers. The Profiler. Danger Zone is a Chinese one that I watched in 2021 that's like, he's a profiler, and I love it when they do that. Like, it's so fun. In this one, he's using his art, but at the same time, he's also kind of a profiler because he looks at people and he draws people so much, and he's so intent on tiny little details, and he knows what those details mean. So it's like he's a profiler, but he's an artist profiler. It's like, it's very unique. And they did take it to an unrealistic level, as far as I'm concerned. That's an unrealistic level. But they set the bar that high and right off the bat. So you know where the bar is, and they keep the bar consistent through the whole thing. So you know already that it's a little bit, he's too much of a genius, and that's a little too far above. But you're okay with it because they keep it consistent all the way through it. And yeah, rewatching it, like, there's something he says way later on that happened to him. And I completely forgot until I watched the first 3 episodes again that they already referenced it at the beginning, but you don't realize what they're referencing or what's going on there until way later when he brings it up. And then I'm like, I actually forgot they referenced it. And then I was rewatching it, I'm like, oh, they actually showed it right there. So this is not a left field weirdness. They already showed you that happened. They just didn't explain it because it was in the middle of a bunch of little stuff. And you're like, oh! It's cool. Go watch Under the Skin. It's definitely worth it. It's really, really well done. And then there's the 3 movies that were my favorite movies of 2022. And the funny thing, they're all Grave Robber ones. So there's Reunion Mystery of the Abyss, that literally, like, it just came out recently, and I've only seen it once so far, but I want to rewatch it. And there's Time Raider, and there's The Mystic Nine, Qing Shan Hai Tang. Those are the 3 movies. All 3 of them are Grave Robber Chronicles. Time Raider is like, if you watch that one, you're going to get major spoilers for the main series, because it's kind of, these ones are hard to talk about because they're really long and complicated, because Grave Robber Chronicles is really long and complicated. It came from books and was turned into shows, and there's a whole long complicated process because originally these people had the rights to make it a show, but then the author got enough strength and known and money, etc., for his works that he was able to get it back. So now he's the one in charge of making the shows and all that stuff. So the whole everything kind of shifted, and I think Time Raiders was made somewhere, well, he didn't technically have the rights to make into shows, so it was done differently. Basically, Time Raider does not fit anywhere within the show itself. What it basically does is takes elements of, like, the first 3 or 4 books. It kind of takes elements of those stories and makes them like it's almost like an overview of the whole story of these books. It's like an overview, overarching thing, but it's done with its own twist, a unique twist of its own. I didn't really like the character that played Jiling. Jiling's character was a little bit odd in that one. Not the actor didn't do a bad job. It's just I'm a little more picky with the actors in this one because I know the characters so well and stuff, and like I'm a little picky on who can play them right and who can't, because I've read all the books and I've seen all the shows and all this stuff, and some of them do a really good job and others don't. And it's not because they are a good actor or a bad actor. It's just this is a character that's already got a preset way, and I have lots to compare it to. So you kind of are a bad actor or a good actor when it comes to being able to play these characters. Don't know. And then they did it kind of over the top. I know it was the author making this movie, so if he says it's okay, I guess it's okay. But at the same time, the way they showed his tattoo and the whole fire and everything, I'm like, that's a little weird, dude. That's just really... And the same thing happened in Mystic 9 Qing Shan Hai Tang, because that was the one about, like, specifically the Mystic 9. Mystic 9 comes before Grave Robber Chronicles. Mystic 9 is about the grandfather's generation of Wujier. The middle guy there, Wujier's grandfather, was one of the Mystic 9. So it's like Wujier, his dad, and his grandfather. Mystic 9 is back here, and Grave Robbers is down here. And Grave Robber kind of covers his father's generation as well. But his grandfather's generation in Mystic 9, there's the... this movie specifically is about the young... my gosh, why did your name run away from me? Jishan. The young Jishan. When he's coming, and that one again, it kind of like every time the author makes stuff into movies, he kind of contradicts himself. That's a thing that the author does. He likes to contradict himself and have things not quite match. And the whole beginning of that movie, when it's showing Jishan as a kid, I'm like, that's through the roof, kind of ridiculous. And that movie didn't quite do Rishan justice. Like, really, Rishan is cooler than that. It didn't quite do him justice. I'm telling you, pretty much all of the shows, very few of them do the Zhang family justice. In the books, the Zhang family is amazing, and most of the shows, like, fall flat on doing them justice. Really flat. But still, the funny thing is, the guy who played Jishan in this one, they say it's the same actor that played one of the characters in One and Another Him, and I still can't believe it, because they don't look anything like... Mind blown. They do not even look like the same person. Never mind acting anything like the same. I was like, what? That's supposed to be the same act? What? You tell me how that's the same person. Does not even look like the same person. Like, whoa! But most of that movie was really cool, and most of it is because it's Jishan. So it's like, if you don't know anything about these characters, you probably would be like, how are these movies cool? Because, Mystery of the Abyss, that actor playing Black Glasses and that actor playing Xiao Hua. Xiao Hua is extremely done dirty in all of the shows as far as I'm concerned. He's one of the coolest characters in the entire thing. He is so cool. Talk about characters that are extremely smart and clever and really cool in fighting skills and etc. etc. Like, he's amazing, and in the dramas he's usually done so dirty that, like, most of the people, I'm like, this is fake Hua. This is not Xiao Hua. This is total fake dude. Or at least half fake dude. Most of them, I'm sorry toward the actors. Like, no. None of them are actual Xiao Hua. He's done so dirty. So dirty. But in this one, this guy actually did, like, a really good job of playing Xiao Hua. And especially, like, playing off of Black Glasses. I loved it. I'm like, please, author, bring this guy back as Xiao Hua. Please, at least for another couple of movies or something, if not one of the shows. Like, I love this duel. They did so well. So well with these two. Oh, I loved it. I think I already touched on Time Raider, the unique twists, and Lu Han is in Time Raider. There again. Please have Lu Han play Xiao Hua again. Not Xiao Hua. Wujier! Why? In the one that's coming out, Tibetan Sea Flower. Why couldn't you have had Luhan play him in that one? That would have been epic! Epic! I don't know yet whether that actor's going to be able to play Wujier in Tibetan Sea Flower or not, but I'm telling you, unless they do a really good job of his makeup, no offense to that actor, but like I saw him in Mystic 9, he played his grandfather in Mystic 9, and now he's going to play him in this one. And I'm sorry, but dude, Tibetan Sea Flower is from back here when he was like early 30s, I think he's supposed to be about the age, and that actor, that looks more like 40s. He looks way too old. Like, no offense to the actor. Maybe they'll do a really good job. Maybe it's just that picture that's on the drama wiki or something. It's just a really bad picture of him, but he looks way too old to be playing Wujier at that time. In the time of Tibetan Sea Flower. He just looks way too old. Luhan should have played him in that one. For one thing, Luhan did a really good job of playing Wujier. Like, really good as far as I'm concerned. He was one of the best Wujiers, in my opinion. And for another thing, he looks more like the correct age for Wujier at that time. And two, like, they have the Zhao Hua, the actor that's playing Zhao Hua in that one in Tibetan Sea Flower, is the same guy that played in, why did the name run away from me? The same one that played him in Reunion, and I'm sorry, that's the most fakest Zhao Hua I've ever seen. He did a terrible job of Zhao Hua. And, like, it must have been the script. I'm trying not to insult actors, but that was the most fakest Zhao Hua so far. That is not real Zhao Hua. Like, any part of him. There was a brief, tiny flicker when they were in the car of the real Zhao Hua, but for most of it, not Zhao Hua. And it would take a while to explain exactly what's going on there. If you've ever seen Grave Robber Chronicles, do you agree with me or not? I don't know, but that's not Zhao Hua. So I'm like really upset that actor is the one playing him in Tibetan Sea Flower, because for one thing, he's not in that one. Zhao Hua is not in that story. And every time, consistently so far, that Zhao Hua is brought into a story when he was not there, they do him dirty, and he is not the real Zhao Hua. I don't know why. In Ultimate, they did that throughout the entire thing. He was there way sooner than he should have been, and as a result, they made him nothing but a, like, bratty, rich kid. This is nothing but comedy. Black Glasses and Zhao Hua for most of Ultimate were done so dirty. I was so mad at what the show did with them. So mad, because they were not in any way, shape, or form, not even slightly, those characters. That was not the real them at all. And then finally it reached the point where Zhao Hua actually came into the story. And for the one thing, the way he was introduced and everything that he did, it didn't make sense anymore! In the drama, that was how he was introduced, was at that auction. And everything that happened there, it made perfect sense. Him pretending to be Juju and all the rest of that stuff, it made perfect sense in the book. The way it happened and why it happened, it made perfect sense. In the show, because he'd already been there so long, it made zero sense. It made no sense whatsoever. It was like, what the crap, dude? This makes no sense. This is just really awkward and totally nonsensical, and I didn't like it at all. Because he had already been there for so long, so it made no sense. But then after that, you finally get to the part where they're actually on the mission and they go to this place and it's Zhao Hua and Wujier over here doing that. And finally, we're to the places that like make sense within the book and he's actually acting within character. And during that part of it, that actor did a pretty good job of Zhao Hua. It was working. He was actually being Zhao Hua. Before that, it was not Zhao Hua at all. You cannot, no, he was not Zhao Hua. But I was not supposed to be talking about Ultimate because I did not watch Ultimate in 2022. So that was a whole tirade of completely, like I say, get me into the Grave Robber Chronicles and then it gets really confusing. So, now that this video is nearly 2 hours unedited. If you want to know any more details about any of these things, what I actually loved about them specifically, or what I actually hated about them specifically, or about the characters, about the dramas, about any kind of things like that, if you want any more details, or if you want to know any of, because I told you the number of dramas I watched, and clearly I didn't mention them all, if you want to know about any of the other ones I watched, let me know and I can make a video about any of those things. So if you watched this entire thing, thank you very much. Maybe leave a comment or a like or something to let me know that you did. And if you have thoughts on any of those characters or any of those dramas, feel free to leave that in the comments. And let me know what your opinions were. So, yeah. Now it's almost like shock, you know, like when something's running and then it turns off and it's so quiet and you're like, what year is it? What just happened? I've been talking so long, I can't believe it. I have other stuff to do, so I'm gonna go do other stuff. And then finally, I did not expect this to be that long. It's supposed to be a quick wrap-up. Yeah, right. Anyway, I'm gonna have so much fun editing this. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed something in there. Bye!